Let's get it Star Wars. Let's get it Star Wars in here. Let's get it Star Wars. Let's get it Star Wars in here.
A small rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right. We're going to get to it. We see the emails. We see the comments. We're going to continue our commentary look at The Mandalorian Season 2. And I know what you want. You want us to get to that final episode. You want us to get to Chapter 16 and the return of you-know-who. But you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because there's so much to dig into with that episode. We don't want to give it short shrift. So what we're going to do this week here on Rebel Force Radio, this week's show for June 5th, 2021, we are going to, or is that the 4th? It's the 4th, June 4th, my bad. Today's Tuesday. The Memorial Day holiday just really screwed me up. So this week's show for June 4th, 2021.
Or you can say it's for June 3rd because we are releasing our shows now, our weekly shows, on Thursday night because Fridays are all about the Bad Batch.
Well, you see, that requires me to remember so much now. You got a holiday.
There's a lot.
We've got, yeah. Well,
How about here's Rebel Force Radio for this week?
How about that? Here's Rebel Force Radio for this week, and we are going to take a look at episodes, or I should say chapters 14 and 15 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. There's so much to break down here and watch with these two episodes. And then we're going to dedicate an entire episode to chapter 16. And by we, I mean, of course, myself, Jason Swank, and my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. This is the way. Chut, chut. And may the Force be with you. I think I ticked off all the boxes right there with my intro. And, just want to make sure nobody's feeling left out. I know some of us old school fans still like the MTFBWY. May the Force be with you. And I like it too. So we love to spread the cheer in all sort of different ways of phraseology. Is that a word? Phraseology?
Yeah, phraseology works.
Yeah. I thought so. And we can spread the love here on Rebel Force Radio, but this is the way. And that's what's going to be happening on this episode of RFR. A couple of great ones. The debut of Boba Fett in The Mandalorian.
Oh, man.
More Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah.
And more Bill Burr and more Fennic Shand. More Ming-Na Wen. So,
perfect timing with her debut on The Bad Batch just a couple of weeks ago, that character. And so we can see how it all comes together here on Rebel Force Radio.
Right. And, so I'm really looking forward to digging into these episodes. Everyone who's listened to the show in the past, you guys know the routine. Mm-hmm. You have to go to Disney Plus. You have to get to the beginning of, we'll be starting with Season 2, Episode 6. What's the title of this?
Chapter 14. Yeah, we're talking about the tragedy.
Yes.
And this episode's certainly no tragedy, as it was directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. Originally aired all the way back on December 4th, 2020.
Wow, that seems like a long time ago when it really wasn't. But maybe it was. From a certain point of view. Robert Rodriguez, of course, he will be the man directing the Book of Boba Fett. I believe he's the only director associated with that miniseries. So we see him. We'll definitely have to take note of seeds getting planted in this episode.
Yes. Because as you all know, when we saw this and saw the debut of the Mando era Boba Fett, played, of course, by Tim Morrison, we didn't know that Book of Boba Fett was coming. We didn't see that little trailer, that the post-credit sequence that we see at the end of Chapter 16. So Yes, keep your eyes on Boba Fett and Fennic Shand and see what kind of clues you get. Who knows? We might even see a clue to the Fennic Shand that we see in the Bad Batch. Let's approach this with fresh eyes. You never know.
Wow. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. All right. So you guys should go then to DisneyPlus.com and or open the app, however you're watching the episode, and jump to that episode. It is season 2, episode 6, chapter 14, The Tragedy. The Tragedy. An odd title for the episode, considering we're going to be getting pure Boba Fett in this one. But what is the tragedy? That's also something else to keep in mind. What is so tragic about this episode? My prediction has something to do with the end, but I don't want to spoil anything. So we'll watch the episode and go along for the ride. So if you have it queued up, you want to have your counter at 0, 0, and just hit play when we count you down. Jason has it all ready for us here in the
We're all queued up.
RFR Studios, the RFR Studio Network.
By the way, this episode clocks in at just about 33 minutes, 33:52 with total credits. So there you go. So we're ready to count it down.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, punch it.
All right. There we go.
Recap.
Yeah, we watched the recaps, by the way.
Yeah, you have to, because it sets the table for what's going to be served then. And of course, that showed really our first introduction to Boba Fett in The Mandalorian was when we saw him. Do we want to have sound on for this? I don't think we do.
I don't think we do either. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right here.
Yeah, we'll mute that. Just because it's so easy to sort of slip out of sync with everyone. Maybe I'm the one just hearing it.
No, it's definitely on here. But the app is kind of screwing up on it. We might have to restart this because let's
start it over, because you know what? Doesn't it record that all on a separate track anyway?
Well, it does, but
I don't even need to add it.
It's really stuttery right now. So
really? I muted it and it's playing perfectly.
Yeah, mine's struggling a bit. All right. Do you see the subtitles on yours?
I do not.
All right. So
I have control over that though.
I turned them on mine, so I guess you need to
I'm going to turn
yours
them on mine too. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to hit pause. Do I hit pause?
I hit pause. All right.
Okay, Jason, pause the video. It says.
All right. Oh, good. Okay. So we're gonna take this over. We're gonna do this over.
We're gonna do it all over again.
Yeah. Okay. By the time you hear this, none of this will have happened. Maybe. We'll see.
Because you'll never hear this.
All right, I am ready for the countdown.
3, 2, 1, punch it. There we go. Right. The Disney logo, Disney Plus original, taking us back. Recap.
Yep. You got to watch the recaps because this gives you clues as to what you need to be looking for. So this takes us back to season 1 with the quote unquote death of Fennic Shand.
Right.
And we all suspected that was Boba Fett. Jim, you pointed out the sound effect and the clinking spurs and all of that. And coming upon her. So, and of course, this is. I
didn't think it was possible though. I didn't think that they would start cross-pollinating the Mandalorian with the
other Mandalorian. Yeah, right?
The OG Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I really thought they wanted this to be something that totally stood on its own. But apparently this was the direction they were heading in all along. You'd think.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder how long Favreau had that idea in his head to put Boba Fett in it. How long was that going on? It seems season 2 feels distinctly different than season 1, in my opinion.
Oh, I definitely think so. I think season 1 was all about establishing the things that were establishing the universe of the Mandalorian And season 2 was starting to tie it with other stuff. And that's when you start getting your Bo-Katan, your Ahsoka. I mean, they give us a huge dose of it. Lucasfilm logo, in case you're watching along with us. So we just got through the recap. And then the Star Wars television little montage intro, bumper, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Which we see at the beginning of Bad Batch.
Yeah, but it's different. It's animated characters.
Yeah, right. There it is, the beautiful Razor Crest. As they're heading towards, they're going to Tython. They've been given instructions from
Feels
Ahsoka.
good being on board the Razor Crest for one last time. Because this is it. This is the final voyage of the Razor Crest. And again, spoiler alert. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched season 2 of The Mandalorian, you really need to do your homework before you listen to this episode. Because this is, we're watching it. We're talking about what happened, what's happening, and what's going to happen. So I'm pretty sure everyone's on board, though. And I'm just talking to myself right now. He's got the ball, the little ball bearing, trying to make Baby Yoda use the Force. Because remember, last time we saw these two together with that little ball bearing, Baby Yoda was pulling it through the air. There, he did it.
He's doing Jedi training. Mando is doing Jedi training with Baby Grogu. By the way, I don't know that it's a bearing. It's isn't it the top of a
it's
shift?
a little screw top to the thing. Come on, there's rust on the gate. You said it yourself. This was
no, I know it's a lot.
Mando season 2 was December. So.
I just don't want, the next episode. Yeah, Swank left me out to dry. He didn't correct me that it was a ball bearing.
I kind of like the way he was holding it too, because that ball bearing has a thing around its circumference, and then the way Grogu holds it, it's sort of there's the screw hole, and it kind of looks like the Death Star. Ray, when he holds it in a certain way. Right now, he's just holding it.
But you see it around the, what do you call that? The hemisphere. It's divided into 2 hemispheres.
Yeah, the circumference.
Yeah.
And, the equator.
That's what I was looking for, the equator.
It's got the little eye on it.
Yeah.
So he was holding it, and that just reminds me of the Death Star look a little bit. Chapter 14, the tragedy. What is the tragedy? What could it be? Well, we already know the Razor Crest isn't going to make it out of this episode.
Right.
So look at that, though. That's beautiful stuff, and that's practical models, special effects, doing it the way with the Dykstra Flex type computer technology, obviously updated for today, but John Knoll built a rig in his garage to make these shots possible. Approaching the planet Tython from the Dawn of the Jedi, which is a comic book and novel series from Dark Horse.
I like how he refers to it there as a magic rock. It's a very kind of Han Solo way to describe these mystical things.
The approach to Tython looks so cool as they do the fly-in overhead, looking down on the. It's just we're looking at a shot here of the Mando flying with Baby Yoda. It's
ears flapping.
Yeah, the ears flapping. But the Stonehenge thing, it looks so cool. That is just such a great design. I love how it looked as they were approaching it from above. And here's another shot from above. And these are the coolest shots of Tython we get in the whole episode. The rest of it looks like Southern California. I mean, like it looks like something that could have been shot for the A-Team.
Right. Yes.
Or Star Trek, God forbid.
Right.
The original series. But I love this set, this Stonehenge with the magic rock in the middle.
Now, this isn't, I'm going to show my ignorance here. This isn't some sort of natural or Native American kind of, this is all created for this. So they didn't locate this cool rock formation.
No.
That'll work.
Fictional. Purely fictional. But again, it does resemble something we see in the real world. It calls out to me Stonehenge for obvious reasons.
Right.
But it also looks like something that could be seen on like Planet Vulcan in Star Trek. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the perfect balance between sort of real world and galaxy far, far away. I like it a lot. Now, Mando, of course, he's thinking there's got to be some sort of mechanical explanation to all this. He has no idea that this thing is powered by the Force.
Yeah,
and
he's looking for a switch.
Yeah, a button.
Remote control,
right.
A joystick, perhaps. He pulls out a joystick. It's like a Nintendo. Look at this.
Oh, here we go.
Now, see, here's the Slave One approaching. And this is the stuff that dreams are made of as a Star Wars fan who was, around for Empire Strikes Back, the first time we saw Slave One. Seeing it now in real light.
Yeah.
Sure, we saw it at Cloud City, but this is, earthy sunlight.
Yeah, it's like when we saw the X-Wings flying over water in those previews for Force Awakens. It takes these things that are so ingrained into our minds and puts them into a different setting, and it brings it all back. It's so great. Now, okay, so he's doing the magic thing right here.
Yeah,
so he's in his trance, and this puts him
in.
This is like when your dog is taking a poo in the backyard. They're so vulnerable. Like, you really got to watch over them. Like, they have no defense.
You can't interrupt them.
Right.
Right.
Like a
Whatever
grizzly bear could come after them, or they're toast.
Yeah. Whatever is happening in the world around them is,
right.
They're out of touch with it completely. They're locked in to that moment.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that Boba and Fennic, they get there pretty fast. They had to land like their crest, some fairly far out, and they're there already, man. They are there already.
Yeah. It helps to have a jetpack.
Yeah.
You have to assume he used that because he really covered a lot of ground right there. Now here comes Boba Fett.
Wow.
Now this is like really impressive because we saw him earlier in the season after the Crate Dragon. Mm-hmm. And now here he is. We finally caught up, or he's caught up with us.
Yeah, and we speculated, and we had a pretty good idea who he was going to be. There was no confirmation. This is confirmation right here. He takes the hood off and he introduces himself.
Oh, it was. I think it was because he turned around and faced the camera after that.
Well, we knew it was Tim Morrison, but he wasn't identified as Boba Fett. Right? Could have been a clone. Right?
Could have been Captain Rex.
Yeah. I don't want your armor. I want my armor, he says. Belongs to me.
Wouldn't it be funny if he said Django? Because, how would he know?
Right. Well,
let's just say I got my head screwed on pretty tight. You could just hear some sort of cheesy dialogue like that.
Right. Well, we know that Mando takes this idea of the armor very seriously about, who gets it, who claims it. You have to be able to prove that that you're deserving of it, that it's rightfully yours. And, he doesn't put up too much of a fight here because Boba is about to reveal the lineage that connects him to that armor.
Right, but isn't it still up in the air as to what Jango Fett's status was as a Mandalorian?
Yeah, but I feel like Mando doesn't challenge it, really.
Here's the thing. Mando treats the armor as if it's religious.
Right.
He's connected to it on a spiritual level. Mm-hmm. Boba is connected to the armor through his father and through the love he has for his father. That's his family legacy. That's the only thing he knows. Boba Fett is the armor. So I would say Boba Fett is even more connected to the armor than the Mandalorian. And also, of course, the Mandalorian was an orphan, so he wasn't born of pure Mandalorian blood. But what is blood? Boba Fett has a blood connection to the Mandalorian armor.
I think
through
it's
his father.
Yes, it's going to be a huge part of season 3. I think is going to be what is a Mandalorian. I think they're really going to explore that because you have the Fennic Shand, or excuse me, not Fennic Shand. You have the Bo-Katan sort of wing of things. Oh, yeah, there it is. Now, Jim, you speculated. You said,
Robot guts.
Hey, we don't know. We don't know. She could have been part droid or android or something prior to that.
That's my guess. Is Fennic Shand is an android, a humanoid android.
Wow.
And when she revealed that, I think most of us jumped to the conclusion that she had some sort of cybernetic surgery to save her life after she was blasted. But I disagree. I think Boba simply turned her back on. She had some, automatic shutdown when she took in the blaster bolt.
Mm-hmm.
And it overloaded her sensors and stuff, and it was just repaired. It was just simply repaired. She got turned back on and repaired. Now, we haven't seen humanoid androids like, replicants.
Yep. Right. That's Blade
Star
Runner
Wars,
stuff. That's Battlestar Galactica stuff.
And Star Trek, if you count Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Data.
that's right. Well, that's right. Yes, of course, Mr. Data. And before him, Roger Corby from the original series.
But yes, Blade Runner, when you're thinking of exact duplicates of humans.
Right.
That's what you get with Blade Runner, especially in Blade Runner 2049. I mean, those replicants have blood and bone and tissue and everything. They're almost indistinguishable from humans, even after an autopsy.
Yeah.
So here they come.
Yeah.
The Empire's finest. You can see they're not dirty like those other
no, they're shinies.
troopers. They're shinies. So this must mean the Empire is starting to rebuild. They're starting to recruit. You don't have just the old boys anymore.
These don't look like the remnant troopers that we saw.
These guys look brand new.
Yeah.
These, their stuff is, they're fresh recruits. They look like cosplayers. They're so cool.
Well, they probably are actually in real life.
No, not these guys.
No. That was season 1.
Seasoned
that they used
stuntmen.
Yeah. Now, because Moff Gideon, he's not going to just have. He's not going to just have any old troops. But here, this is when we. I mean, if there was any doubt for all you Boba Fett fans, what kind of a badass he was. I mean, now we see. We really don't see Boba Fett in action until this point. This is the most action Boba Fett has been seen in all of Star Wars. Wow.
Dude,
he knows how to use that gaffy stick.
In live action Star Wars, you're absolutely right. We've never seen Boba have so much action.
Well, what about in animated Star Wars?
Well, in Clone Wars, he sees a little bit of it as a kid. He's involved in all kind of crazy stuff,
but not like what we just saw.
Oh, nothing like that. He not the martial artistry.
Yes,
and just the sheer
brute force.
Force.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I know that Boba Fett's a hugely popular character, but based on just what we see of him in the films, I mean, he didn't strike me as, being this warrior. But man,
the first time I ever spoke with the late great Jeremy Bullock, one of the first questions I asked him, I said, "Is it the character, or is it really just the armor and the gear?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, I think it's the armor and the gear, really. That's what, and the mystique."
Yep.
And so then we got into a deep conversation about the Sergio Leone implications to the character, the man with no name, the silent but deadly warrior, all of that stuff. But at the beginning of it all is the coolest warrior gear of any sci-fi character in the history of film.
Yeah.
And that's Boba Fett. Stormtroopers were already cool to begin with.
Yeah.
And he did it one better. That was just the best. And then, of course, Boba Fett was introduced in the same film. Oh, my God. I mean, just the brutality of Tim Morrison.
Stabbing.
Just as he drives a gaffy stick into the heart of a stormtrooper. He's just awesome. Where's my action figure of this Boba Fett? Oh, so he sees the Razor Crest.
Yes.
And he goes to board it. And then we get Fennic Shand here. Here's some cool moves.
Yeah, no
tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Herself.
Okay, here's one. Did you see the tuck and roll she just did?
I did.
She remember in the Bad Batch episode 4, when she was introduced in that series, her advice to Omega right before Omega fell off of that speeder, she said, "Tuck and roll, kid, when you land. Tuck and roll."
That's right.
And there you see Fennic Shand doing the tuck and roll.
And there's Mando waiting for Baby Yoda to finish his movement here. It's like, come on, hurry up. I'm cold.
I'm so happy we got a Bad Batch connection.
That's right. No, that was very well spotted. Tuck and roll.
Oh, God, I'm relieved. I didn't think we'd be able to do it.
Now, there
might be a couple more.
This has got to be frustrating for Mando. He can only fight these guys off for so long, and Baby Yoda's of no help.
Right.
Completely.
And also he's taken on he's ownership of the responsibility of this little guy. And, imagine, I don't think there could be any more helpless feeling as a parental figure, as a father, than getting cut off from your child.
Right.
And he is, there's nothing he could do about it.
No.
Oh, yes. The
Whistling Birds.
Whistling Birds.
Yeah.
Kind of a cop-out story-wise.
I know you say that, but still, he's still fighting. I mean, it doesn't take out everybody.
No, it does not in this case. There are more out there than we assume. What would you say? They sent 50, 60 of them down there to get these guys?
Yes.
They've done a pretty good job holding them off.
Several garrisons.
Like, how much more can that Beskar take?
Yeah.
Oh, where did that come from?
Give you one guess.
I wonder. Boba Fett. Bam. So now Tim Morrison is completely decked out in the Boba Fett gear. It looks like hell.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of when we last saw it in Return of the Jedi, but much worse.
Yes.
Much worse for wear. Definitely needing a paint job. That's a great move right there when he puts the blaster, his wrist blaster, into the guy's gut and blows him away. Then we see the knee darts finally.
Yes.
Knee darts. We've always heard about the knee darts. We've never really seen them from Boba before.
No, I mean, the last time we saw him in action, he was on the skiff, and he didn't really make much of a show of it, to be honest with you, in Return of the Jedi. I mean, he was up against Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Chewbacca. Han was blind. Chewie was pretty preoccupied with taking care of Han. Luke was kind of covering the whole thing himself, when you think about it. Yeah, and Lando was hanging off the side. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Well, this is one of the best special effects of the entire series. As the two Imperial transports are taking off and Boba Fett launches the backpack missile and takes both ships out with one missile. But then a blast from above takes out the Razor Crest. God bless it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it was so funny when the HasLab Razor Crest, all the supporters saw this, and it was extra hurtful to it was an extra kick to the groin.
The timing. I mean, wasn't it within just a couple of weeks of that wrapping up that fundraising campaign? It was pretty fresh.
So,
it was pretty fresh.
It was fresh. It was within months. The Dark Troopers. See, this is the good stuff.
I got to say, Moff Gideon is certainly I tell you, for me, he's at least a top 10 villain in Star Wars. He is so great.
Giancarlo Esposito, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
I first really became aware of his acting chops in Breaking Bad when he played Gus Fring, and he was just really a brutal guy. The wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah,
he pulled that off really well, and he has moments of that kind of stuff in this show. There's no question about it. The Dark Troopers are thrilled for me to see, being a big fan of the 1995 PC game, Dark Forces.
Yep. I remember the action figure. And of course, these are slightly different than that at the time, Kenner/Hasbro action figure. Seeing these guys, I remember seeing those action figures of the Dark Troopers that Hasbro did, that expanded universe wave. And they're reminiscent of that. They're not exactly what we saw from Dark Empire, but they're reminiscent. So these are, I think the way they talk about them is these are precursors to what we would see later.
Well, phase 2, phase 3, that's how you label them. I think they're full on phase 3 Dark Troopers. They're just not big, bulky hulks like the ones from the video game and other media were.
Right.
These they do sort of look more like something that would be in between the phase 2 and the phase 3. But I think they just did that for practical design and
right
to update the look a little bit.
Yes, they are definitely sleeker and not as comic book looky as those other ones were. I mean,
right.
What a hell of a thing to wake up to. Poor Baby Yoda. He wakes up and you see that face, of the Dark Troopers coming after you.
Right. After you just made this profound connection to the mystical force that binds and surrounds all life. But listen, he put the call out and the call has been received.
Right.
So all is good in Baby Yoda land.
And I love Boba here in hot pursuit of these Dark Troopers. And then he sees this and he realizes
the Empire's back.
Yeah.
They're back.
Did they ever really go away? No one's ever really gone. Even the Empire. This isn't a spice dream, he says. Yeah, he's looking at the Imperial cruiser, but yeah.
You have the feeling that something that might be covered in the Book of Boba Fett is after Boba recovers from the Sarlacc pit, he becomes a drug addict. He actually, hits Skid Row. He gets hooked on the spice. And that's the big drug in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, spice dream.
Yes, spice dream. Yeah. So in fandom, we call that the Chris Spice Dream, and it's terrifying. Now, that's a shout out to our old friend who owns the sandtroopers.com.
Yeah.
Chris Spice.
Now, this is very poignant here. The one thing that survives, in addition to, does he find his the pole?
He does. He does. Yes. His trophy from his duel with the magistrate.
Right. There we go. So he's got that. And I'm guessing, do we assume then that ball is also made of Beskar? The ball that's on top of his gear shift? Maybe.
Well, I never really considered that one. It would just be a terrible waste for a mineral that's considered to be almost sacred by the Mandalorians. I don't know if that would be considered to be a frivolous use of the rare material or what.
I don't know.
Now here Boba Fett shows us a chain code for the first time.
Yes.
Finally, his chain code has been embedded in the armor. So that's like, remember when your dad would get a label maker and the next thing you knew, everything in your house had a label on it? Yeah, that's what they do with the chain codes. And we're learning more and more about the chain codes via the Bad Batch and exactly how they were implemented throughout the galaxy. I find it hard to believe that a guy like Boba Fett would have that sort of technology applied to him, or even that way of identification as a guy who really seems to work off the grid, under the radar, and within the underworld of Star Wars. It seems like that's something the Bad Batch themselves are trying to avoid.
Yeah, being marked, being part of this database. That's not good.
What a thrill.
Yeah.
What a thrill to see the Slave One in flight. I mean, call me simple, call me nostalgic, but I just can't get enough of it.
Well, and I love, too, just the honorable nature of Fennic and Boba. I know I have I'm a sucker for those kind of anti-heroes. Speaking of anti-heroes, we're looking at Cara Cynthia Dune. Boba Fett comes to Mando. Boy, I'm really blowing it all over the place. Mando is trying to kind of alert their first of all of what they saw out there, and then that he needs some help.
Yeah, so she's going to start recruiting. Why does he want? Well, he needs him to spring him. To get him into the cruiser. That's
right.
what he needs.
Exactly. And he knows
Bill Burr can do that.
Right.
How does he know Bill Burr can do that?
Well, he was Mayfeld was part of that crew for that jailbreak in season 1.
And he was ex-Empire.
He was ex-Imperial. That's right.
He was an Imperial sharpshooter.
That's right.
I ain't no stormtrooper. And now here we go. Moff Gideon walk you through the classic Imperial corridors, which they pull off really well in this show because it's that battleship gray, dark gray. I mean, everything about the panels, the lighting, it looks perfect. To me, in the sequel trilogy, it was too much neon blue going on and too much reflective surface. Here's Baby Yoda showing, tapping into the dark side maybe a little bit, but this is self-preservation. Yoda himself said the Force is to be used for knowledge and defense.
Yep.
And Baby Yoda is definitely defending himself. Smash them together. Just smash them together.
Do it.
But a Force choke. There he goes. Throw him against
Just like
wall.
little toys. Then he gets tired out. And this is and Gideon knows this. Gideon knows this. And he basically is putting these troopers in there to basically, it's like when you get the kids to tire the dog out, run them around the yard and then they'll sleep. Yeah. So and then the dark saber comes out. By the way, if you're looking for one, they only have about 800 at my local Target. Those dark sabers, they're just sitting there. Yeah.
I've never seen one.
Oh, really? Yeah, they have the toy. Because we haven't really been able to see what this thing can do on the series. I think they should have.
It appears to have the, similar properties of a lightsaber, essentially, because we've seen a lightsaber.
Oh, how dare you! Sorry, how dare you? But and then he calls it an it. Put it in shackles. Oh, this guy.
God, he's just stun blasted Baby Yoda. But thank God, through the visual language of Star Wars, we understand immediately that's a stun blast.
Right.
The circular ovals that shoot out of the gun. The blue ovals. I guess all ovals are circular, but the blue ovals that shoot out of the gun that we know, from the very first moments of 1977, A New Hope. And
what an image to leave us on. Baby Yoda stunned in shackles and in a detention cell block or in a detention cell.
Yes.
Very reminiscent of the one that we saw Princess Leia in on the Death Star.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, big time.
Cliffhangers.
Big time.
Leia was blasted with the stun bolt, and then she ended up in the cell, just like Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is on a very similar path as Leia was. But Leia was held captive for information, and she refused to give him the information.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda is being held for
his blood.
Yes, that's even
his blood, his DNA, his midichlorians, whatever it is that they're trying to extract.
Yes,
from
and you have
him.
to imagine in that brief period of time. I mean, we never saw Dr. Pershing aboard that ship. You have to assume they were transporting Grogu to go see Pershing so he could continue his experimentations and extractions. And so I wonder if any of that stuff was taken from Baby Yoda on board that cruiser. Like, were any troopers able to get away from the ship with Baby Yoda blood to deliver to Pershing, things like that. I wonder about. But I don't think so. I think that would have been more obvious to us in the storytelling. But writers sitting in a writing room could look at that as a loophole and surprise us with that little bit of information. Oh, what you didn't see were these stormtroopers had vials of Baby Yoda blood that they were going to deliver to Dr. Pershing.
Well, we know that they do have samples of Baby Yoda and that they're running out. There is a moment, I think, in the series where they discuss this, that they're out of the whatever it is.
Yes. Yeah.
And they need more.
I think it was blood or midi-chlorians or whatever. Blood. I don't know.
I forget which term they use, but we know what they mean. They need more. Yeah. And we're going to get a lot more of The Mandalorian here in just a moment. We'll be looking at chapter 15 of season 2. As we said, big cliffhanger ending there as Baby Yoda is kidnapped. We're all on the edge of our seat. I know, Jim, it was a long week for you when sweet, sweet Baby Yoda found himself in the clutches of Moff Gideon.
It wasn't easy. It was a few weeks, actually.
Did they leave us going for a few weeks?
Yes, they did.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yes, he doesn't get. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't.
We'll be watching this next episode here.
No spoilers, but he doesn't get rescued in this next episode. Yeah. Well, because they have to, go on this mission first, and this next episode features some of the finest acting in I think really all of Star Wars. Just great performances, amazing tension, and it's truly something. And it's amazing what they can do, without relying on just nonstop action. Just having guys sitting around a conference table and they just.
I think that's the brilliance of Rick Famuyiwa, who is a really good director. I don't really know anything about outside of his work on The Mandalorian. He did that great episode in season 2 with the Jawas and the Sandcrawler and the Mudhorn and the Suka or whatever they were chanting with that egg, the Mudhorn egg.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite episodes. And Rick did a great job with that one. And now he's back to direct this episode. Where are we at here? We're on season 2, episode 7, chapter 15. The Believer.
The Believer. Yes.
I'm a believer.
As Jimmy said, directed by Rick Famuyiwa and written this episode, by the way, also co-written by Rick Famuyiwa and Jon Favreau. And the original air date for this one was December 11th, 2020. And I remember, as if it was yesterday, sitting down for this one and thinking, okay, all right, they got Baby Yoda. Let's see the big rescue. Come on. But we wouldn't quite see it yet.
No.
Let me make sure that I want to make sure my subtitles are on. Yeah, I like to watch it with the subtitles. You're the one that turned me on to that. And now I watch, Bad Batch every week with the subtitles on, because a lot of times you get extra clues. You get a character name or a monster name or something.
Yeah. You even get non-distinguishable background chatter sometimes transcribed in those things.
That's right.
And that could be valuable. So definitely with The Mandalorian, I do like to watch my second viewing with the subtitles on. I like my first viewing to be pure and clean, no subtitles, no RFR talking in my ear. I just want to watch it clean. But again, we assume you guys have seen these episodes maybe 500 times. So let's just dive right into it. We have the Mandalorian, chapter 15, The Believer. I'm a believer. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, punch it.
And we're off with the Disney logo.
We got the recap.
Yep.
We see the Razor Crest explode from 3 different camera angles just to really rub salt in the wound of the Hasbro HasLab supporters. I can't wait for my Razor
Yeah, it doesn't
Crest to
matter.
show
Who
up.
cares? Who cares that it's
doesn't matter.
destroyed? You didn't buy it because of what you're going to see of it in the future. You bought it because you're attached to the ship from what you've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think the Razor Crest received more screen time than the Millennium Falcon did in all the Star Wars films.
If you add up this,
in this series,
absolutely.
I'd like somebody to do some research into that. Put together how many minutes we see the Falcon.
Oh no!
in flight.
There
goes
Matt Lanter. Oh,
Matt Lanter.
It's going down here. So they're showing a lot of the clips from season 1 episode. What was that called? Prison Break or something like that? I always call it Prison Break. The prisoner. That's right.
Yeah. And it's really cool to see that Matt's character, Devin, was he like Lieutenant Devin?
Yeah.
That his death has had it's had some repercussions on season 2, as we've seen the X-Wing pilots have been, they recognize the Razor Crest as being at that prison ship when Devin was killed.
Yep.
So
they're definitely
look at this
sus.
shot. Now, a lot of this is practical model here.
Wow. Yeah, the prison
Practical
planet
model.
here. And look at the TIE fighter, the TIE fighter cockpit that you see there. I just love
you see
looking at
several.
all the debris. That looks like that could have been one of the an engine on the land speeder there, straight ahead.
Yeah,
kind of stripped down,
or a pod racer engine.
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of those kind of things in Star Wars, no question about it. Bill Burr looks like an absolute psycho with the bald head and the giant goggles and the psycho jumpsuit on.
Yeah.
And that's a cool droid. I love these droids. And we also saw those in the Bill Burr episode from season 1, The Prisoner. They were patrolling the ship, the prison ship. Droids of a similar design. Here comes Cara Dune.
Now I noticed that the guard droid there has the symbol of the rebellion there. So that's the New Republic.
A New Republic.
Yeah, New Republic logo.
Indeed. And that even goes back to old EU with the stars around the Republic crest.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you call that thing.
It's like, isn't it a bird?
I got that thing tattooed on my back molar.
You'd think you'd know the damn name of it.
Yeah, I should know what to call it. I always call it that symbol on Luke Skywalker's helmet.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly the encyclopedia of Star Wars, I speak my own language.
Anything that I can look
at
up.
How badass Boba Fett. Get out of here. Get out of town. That is the most badass Boba Fett look with the black robes. Oh my God, is that a badass Boba Fett?
It is.
Look at
it
that.
Really
Where's
is
my
amazing.
action figure? 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah, not happening. Then you can get a Hot Toys for $300, but
they have to do it.
They will. They will.
They can't completely abandon that market.
They're like, we can kit bash that figure. We don't need to do any original sculpting on that one.
Jeez Louise, I might have to do it myself. I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Because that's solid gold, that Boba Fett right there. And so somebody sent me an email, or they reached out to me somehow, I forget. But they said, hey, that new polished up Boba Fett look, that might have something to do with your theory. And my theory it was my prediction, I made it on the show last week, that the Book of Boba Fett series will have 2 storylines that interweave with each other. One past, showing how Boba Fett escaped from the Sarlacc pit and what happened with him, including things like spice addiction and all that stuff, Fennic Shand, everything. It all gets revealed in the Book of Boba Fett, while also telling the story of Boba Fett and the fallout of him assassinating Bib Fortuna and assuming the throne of the Tatooine underworld with Fennec Shand at his side. There's a story to tell then, too, obviously. So they said, well, that's why you're seeing the freshly painted Boba Fett, because it'll be easy for viewers to tell what is Boba Fett from old.
Oh,
and
so
what
they'll
is Boba
know
Fett
where
from
they
new.
are
Yeah.
in the time in the timeline and the
Right.
storytelling. Yeah, that
Right,
makes a lot
right.
of sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So we'll see, in the past, we'll see events leading up to Boba Fett falling into the Sarlacc and then his escape. So he'll have that armor. And then we'll see how the armor ends up in the hands of the Sandcrawler Jawas and all of that. But then that paint job. He took it to Earl Scheib to get painted up. It's where my dad took his 78 Monte Carlo back in the day. To the Earl Scheib. Yeah, they're a good outfit. They do a good job over there with painting up your car. Real nice. So and he looks hideous. Now, do you assume that Boba's scars and appearance is a result of his time spent in the Sarlacc, or did he just look like crap all along as a result of several battles over the decades?
No, I mean, I think certainly the digestive juices of the Sarlacc are going to be hell on the paint job. There's no question about that. And we don't know, what the Jawas did. We also don't know what Cobb Vanth did. It could have been, he could have been having some crazy times with that armor. Who knows? But my suspicion is that it's supposed to look like that the paint has been peeled off or somehow removed by the. Although, how long was he in that Sarlacc? That doesn't really make sense. I mean, he came into contact with it.
Maybe I wasn't really crystal clear in my question for you was, I'm talking more about his appearance helmetless, the baldness, the obvious scarring on the face.
I
looked
see.
like part of his ear was eaten away. I mean, some of that could be like Sarlacc acid, digestive acids. And then some of it could be battle scars from
Definitely
a decade
battle
of being
scars.
a warrior. Yeah, I don't think I was clear with you.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about
We
the
were
armor
just-
specifically.
We were just talking about the armor.
Yes.
Yeah, I was assuming too much on the visuals there, and that's a big mistake for an audio podcaster to do. So my apologies there. I love this dreadnought. I think that's what you call these tanks that they drive. Juggernaut. That's what it's
juggernauts.
called. Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Not jogger. Is it not jugger? Jugger, not jogger. And those troopers that are piloting it, those are they're kind of new. Their design is based on a trooper design seen in Rogue One, but they were white. And now these guys are a gray look. And the only reason I said that is because I found these action figures the other day in my collection that looked just like these guys. And I was like, cool, from the Mandalorian. But they were all white. And they were from Rogue One. I forget what they're called. They're not the shore troopers, but they have a certain name. And I should have looked it up before the show, but I didn't. And it's similar to that. It's not entirely the same, but it's a new look. It's a new trooper for Mandalorian for this show. New Imperial trooper, I think. And in Cara Dune, her outfit, kind of looks like Marvel comics, maybe a little bit.
I can see
Do you
that.
see that at all?
I definitely can see that. I mean, but I guess to me, it's not totally un-Star Wars like, but it also does remind me of some of those old Marvel comics that I've occasionally flipped through. I think it's okay to sort of start blending those looks a little bit. Maybe having something that's a little bit more. It works for me, it really does. It's something I haven't really examined. I've accepted her from day one, her look and everything, but I definitely see it. When you say, does that kind of have a Marvel or a superhero look to it? Yeah, it does.
Or even like a Road Warrior look, but just she looks too shiny and new to me. That's just the thing. She looks too fresh. And I mean, I like the look. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Now
not
this
judging it.
this whole exchange between Mayfeld and Mandalorian as they're driving the Juggernaut is fascinating because he's really trying to needle him. Like he's just trying to keep Mando. I don't buy that it's coming from a place of curiosity. It's definitely coming from a place of him trying to antagonize. I mean, I think that's that's the way Mayfeld is. He's playing head games here, you know.
Yeah.
And he's also trying to convince himself that his life is better than Mando's by, hey, I can take my helmet off. You know, just take it off.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah,
you're no
right.
better than me. Who do you think you are? So I love Bill
It's like I'm
Burr.
watching Goodwill Hunting here all of a sudden.
But it is a little bit of that, and definitely he's trying to get into his head a little bit, and maybe even part of him wants to reform the Mandalorian a little bit. Hey, come on, be a person, and take that thing off, take that mask off.
Well, he's definitely
As here we are at the end of the pandemic. Those words mean so much to me. Actually, it's a breath of fresh air. Literally, take the mask off. Let's see your face. And the Mandalorian, though, he's steadfast. He's going to keep that mask on because it's a spiritual thing for him. It's above. Right. It's above anything else. There's a kid looking at him like, I'm going to kill you as soon as I'm old enough. And that's how rebellions are born.
Well, but I mean, Mayfeld too, you know, he's the kind of guy that it's all about practical reality and, you know, spirituality and that sort of thing. I don't feel like he really has much time for. I think he's...
no.
You know,
like Jango Fett, he's a simple man trying to make his way through the universe.
But he's also like the kind of he's like the a-hole that always wants to poke the person of faith in the ribs, you know, every chance they get. Like it's not enough that they don't believe. They want to try to convince you to not believe. To me, it's that sort of thing. Misery loves company. He's like, I'm miserable. I don't believe in nothing. You should be too. Not quite, but similar. Yeah, I mean, but also he wants to put him on a level playing field. You know, hey, your rules don't mean anything.
Yeah. Just trying to say, you know, nothing is going to happen if you take that helmet off.
Right.
So that's where it becomes a matter of faith. You know, I mean, when people start challenging your faith or denying your faith, a lot of times you'll dig in, you know, you'll dig in deeper. And that's, you know, those tests of faith are things that anyone experiences all the time, it seems like. You got to stand firm.
But it also sets up, you know, what we see happen with Mayfeld. You know, it's like Mayfeld doesn't believe in anything. You know, Mayfeld is a cynic. Mayfeld is, you know, complete and total humanist. But we see him finally triggered here later on as the episode unfolds. You know, what his, and perhaps what led him, an experience that led him to lose faith, lose idealism.
And let me tell you about the brilliance of the writing that's going on here. Is you have this moment between Mayfeld, I'm sorry, as the pirates attack Mayfeld and the Mandalorian, where Mayfeld is testing the Mandalorian's faith. In this very same episode, we'll see the Mandalorian come into a situation where he has no choice but to remove the helmet. And so having a moment like this with Mayfeld and the Mando prior to that moment where the Mando has to remove his helmet, it adds so much more drama and so much more importance to that moment when the Mando does actually have to remove his helmet.
Boy, that is great point. That's a great point.
And that's brilliant storytelling. Yeah. It's foreshadowing for those who are trying to connect the dots when it comes to the actual hierarchy of how a story is being broken down and told. But it also works on that level that I think Joseph Campbell would appreciate in a great way too. It's just how you have the setup and you have the knockdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also it's great because I think they construct this show in a way that it has a fairly easy cost of entry. So you let's say this is your first Mando episode. Well, because the taking the helmet off is such a major moment, they set it up beautifully. You don't have to have seen all the episodes that precede it. By the way, this is some of the coolest action sequences. Him fending off these pirates, and I remember just being on the edge of my for as I am with most episodes of Mandalorian. You know, I've said many times that you have an idea because of who the heroes are. That people are going to survive or different characters are going to survive, but it still manages to keep me on the edge of my seat every time.
I like these pirates too. And what's unfortunate is that we're rooting for the Mandalorian here, but the real good guys are these pirates.
Right.
Are they pirates or are they rebels? They're fighting the Empire. Are they doing it just to get I think that's the explanation we get. Oh, the guy just hit his own guy. I think that's the explanation we get, is that they're trying to steal this rhydonium, this rare explosive material to use, probably to sell on the black market to the highest bidder. But they also are taking on the tyranny of the Empire and trying to restrict the Empire from having access to these materials, and also blowing Imperial stuff up in the process. So you almost kind of have to root for these guys.
In a way, I mean, yeah, it's certainly brought out we know that the dethroning of the Empire has brought out lawlessness again, and now are these Say-Tin dudes?
Oh, I was wondering about the alien species.
Yeah.
And it doesn't appear they are. Those protrusions on the side don't look horn-like enough.
Yeah, right.
CC-10 and his breed look like they have horns, like they're bulls. These guys, they look more like fleshy flaps, like underdeveloped Twi'leks or something.
Yeah, I don't think that they're actually named. I mean, they're just called pirates everywhere.
They're just called fugly. And so that's why it's easy to root against them too.
Yeah.
From a storytelling standpoint, is they're just ugly looking bad.
Yeah, it's sort of the
guys.
enemy. That expression, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend."
Of course, they're just bad guys fighting bad guys.
Right.
They're pirates trying to steal from the oppressive empire, and they're not doing it out of any sort of righteous cause.
No.
Now here those are shore troopers from Rogue One coming out of this Imperial complex. And this is pure Star Wars to me. Pure Star Wars. Seeing those stormtroopers gun down those pirates, and these guys are riding in on that juggernaut. It's a fun word to say.
It is.
Juggernaut. The Mandalorian groaning. I should not read the subtitles. That's going to be the worst.
Yeah, here they are. They're like, look at these guys. Yeah, they are heroes.
Mm-hmm.
They took out those pirates.
They're just breaking in there for information.
Right.
That's all they want.
Yeah, they get a hero's welcome. Isn't that great? These spies coming in there. Yeah, Fennic and Cara sharing a look like, these guys.
So
they made it. All right.
I just like looking at all the different troopers in here. That's a weird looking Imperial. He has like a derby on.
Yeah.
Like an old school from the 1920s derby. Like something that Curly from the Three Stooges would wear.
I think we talked about on our after show about this. This is almost gives you the feels after the Luke and the rebels that survive the battle of the first Death Star. Their heroes welcome here, and they're all and it humanizes the Empire. These Imperials. You see that they're people.
We learn about Imperial. We learn about Imperial pride. It's not all about oppressing the galaxy.
Right.
There's a lot of complicity amongst the citizens of the galaxy. They're all on board with this Imperial thing.
Yeah.
They're more than willing to walk the walk and talk the talk. This is tailor-made for some people in the galaxy. There we see Richard Brake, who plays the Imperial Valen Hess. And I don't really, think I'm overdoing it, but I just think that this guy is one of the greatest Imperial officer actors of all time. I don't know anything about the man or his career, but I've been lucky enough to receive some simple responses from him just on Twitter every time I start gushing about his performance, because I think this is Emmy caliber. And
for sure.
He should be nominated for an Emmy. I don't think the Disney Lucasfilm machine is pushing for his name specifically, but that doesn't mean he's not eligible. And if anybody from the Emmys is listening to this show, you really need to take a close look at this man's performance, because I've seen a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of TV shows. I've seen a lot of Star Wars. I've seen a lot of other things. And I know a good performance when I see one. And this guy just is Imperial officer personified.
Yeah.
Everything about him. I mean, the greatest sense, the great Grand Moff Tarkin himself, Peter Cushing.
What does he think he's going to do here? He's going to scan his helmet. Come on. All right, there he's got to do it.
There he goes.
There it is.
Off his own, and
he's trying to get it done
Pascal.
as quick as possible.
Last time we saw him, IG-11 was squirting Bacta in his face. And now here he is, high and dry.
Yeah,
he's got a mustache. See, why so selective? You never take your helmet off. You just figure the guy would have a beard for days.
Right.
But no, he shaves the beard, but he keeps the mustache. Who are you trying to impress if no one's seeing your face?
Yeah, that's there's a lot of care going on for the grooming when you're just going to wear a helmet all the time.
Also, he uses a fine moisturizer too. Moisturizer. Yeah, he's got a nice moisturizer too. But I mean, really, to maintain the fine, supple skin like that, you can't be wearing a helmet 24/7. So this whole not taking the helmet off, I think, is a little over-exaggerated.
And thus begins this incredible scene as Valen Hess is interrogating.
See, notice Richard, he has that kind of the sunken cheekbones. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, he's the epitome of a great Imperial officer. Oh, he reeks, and he has an incredible resume featuring shows like Game of Thrones and a lot of B movies. He also was in that flashback sequence. He was Joe, the guy who killed Bruce Wayne's dad, Thomas Wayne.
Joe Cool. Yeah, that's
Joe
right.
Cool.
In the Christian Bale version, right?
Batman Begins.
Yes.
In the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Joe Cool.
That's
him, with that big smile and everything. Well, here he is. He's not smiling. He's by the book like nobody you've ever met before in your life, pal. Is this guy by the book? Yeah. But the way that Rick Famuyiwa developed this whole sequence and executed it with the actors on set is nothing short than amazing. He deserves an Emmy for this episode himself. He does, Bill Burr does, and so does Richard Brake. Pedro is Pedro, and he's always great. He really is. He is consistently great. But we never know when we see him on The Mandalorian.
Right.
This episode, we know we're looking at Pedro Pascal. And that's a rarity for the 16 episodes of this entire series. We never are really sure when we're seeing Pedro. I think it's rare. I think we're treated to a very good voice performance, but I think it's extremely rare. I think the only time we see not Bill Burr, when we see Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian is when the Mando is sitting, like maybe in the cockpit of the ship, or when he's standing. I think any movement that the Mandalorian makes on screen is performed by one of the two stunt actors. And they're great. I mean, they're not just stand-ins or stunt guys. These guys are really good at what
you
they
gotta
do.
wonder, though. You gotta wonder, why hire 2-3 actors to play one role? I get the fact that Star Wars has a history. You look at Darth Vader, how many actors played Darth Vader. I get it. But, I mean, you can find actors who are very physical that have great capabilities as stunt performers that can also act. So it's just,
what is it about Pedro is what you're saying?
I guess that's sort of what makes him so necessary. And, maybe he has a certain look, has a certain voice that they, just had in mind for the character. And that very well may be. I certainly don't want to ignore the scene that we're seeing, but without the dialogue playing, and this is all very dialogue heavy, but even just looking at their body language, their facial expressions, up until this point, you'd have no idea that Mayfeld recognizes Hess until he starts recalling this story.
Well, no, he does pull him aside. He does pull the Mandalorian aside and say, hey, we can't go in there. I know that guy.
Oh, I know that guy. He does say that. That's right.
Yeah, but he doesn't. As far as we know, he doesn't recognize, because he was there on Burning Khan. That's what they're talking about here in this Burning Khan thing. I know it's been mentioned in some like expanded universe type material, but I don't think it's a story that's been truly told. I'm sure the more literature oriented among our listening audience might know. If you do, let me know. But Burning Khan, I think it was mentioned in a video game or something. And he just pushes Mayfield's buttons too many times. And with the toast to the Empire, that was enough,
Yeah. Well, and also he said, everybody thinks they want freedom, but what they really want is order. And when they realize that, they'll welcome us with open arms. And that was just too much because, as Mayfeld was recounting, his version of order, Hess's version of order, is being able to wipe out innocent civilians for the good of the Empire without any second thought.
Right.
And Mayfeld does not want to go back there. And that's when we see what really animates him. He does not want to go back to that world of the Empire.
Right.
But not an idealist. He wouldn't consider himself an idealist.
Of course not. But there are too many people who have seen the atrocities of what the Empire can do. And while others see law and order. And they see predictability and stability. It depends on your certain point of view, your matter of perspective. Oh my God, the slave one.
Oh, you just lose it every time it comes. By the way,
I really do.
Those troopers are called, I think they're just called tank troopers.
Tank troopers.
Yeah, the gray ones as opposed to the cream colored ones that we see in the shore troopers.
There was a Rogue One tank. I wonder if one of those gray guys came with it, because that's a hole in my collection.
Uh-oh.
So, I have to look that up right now. And if there is a gray action figure that can also double as a Mandalorian action figure, I'm going to have to get it. Hasbro. Let's see. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, they're not that expensive either.
Oh, good.
But I don't think they come with an action figure.
That's really a shame.
It doesn't appear. It's called the Imperial Combat Assault Tank, and this is from Rogue One. And yes, the tank driver looks very similar to the gray trooper that we see the Mandalorian and Mayfield dress as.
Yeah,
but it's white.
Yeah. Mayfeld is going to really make them pay. And it takes down
So
the
that's
whole
where you see,
remnant base.
his sharpshooter past comes to play. And she even says, nice shot. And he doesn't believe he made the shot, but he did. And that's a moral victory for Mayfeld.
Right.
Even beyond just, it was good enough to escape, but he needed to put his foot down there because he'd been pushed to the limit by Valen Hess, who's playing on his emotions. And I just love these little glimpses, and it's something that makes The Bad Batch such a great show, is you get to see how the rise of Palpatine's empire affects the galaxy, and how that certain point of view thing really does come into play because different people get affected different ways, and it's one of those parts of Star Wars lore that is really being fleshed out here, past and present, or even future, if you think about The Mandalorian. You have the past with The Bad Batch. Present would be the original trilogy. Future would be Mandalorian. That's my Star Wars. That's my original trilogy era Star Wars. From dark times through the post-Empire galaxy. This galaxy tries to pull itself up from its bootstraps. And it appears the Empire is like a wart. It just never goes away. You put all this different stuff on it. It's gone. It's gone. I know it's gone. And it comes back. No. Put yourself in exile on an island. It's still there.
Speaking of exile, there goes Mayfeld. He now has a clean slate.
Yeah. Yeah. He thinks he's busted.
Yeah.
He thinks they're just going to continue his sentence. And he's going back to that TIE fighter graveyard he was working at with the goggles. That's the thing. He doesn't care about going back to the TIE fighter graveyard. If they make him wear those damn goggles again, they look terrible on me.
It's demoralizing.
It's just not his look. It's not his fashion. New Imperial cruiser.
Oh, yeah.
Moff Gideon. His Imperial goons. What are they reporting to him? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, this is the transmission. And this is when he really turns the tables on Moff Gideon. You may think you have some idea what you are in possession of, but you do not. This is the same speech, right, that he'd heard Gideon.
Exactly what Gideon said to him about Baby Yoda in season 1. Right. So that's a nice tie-in, too. Well executed, well orchestrated, well written Star Wars. Yeah. Top to bottom. Rick Famuyiwa, awesome. He wrote this. Rick wrote this episode. I'm watching this thinking it's Jon Favreau all the way. And it was Rick Famuyiwa who not only directed this episode, but wrote it. Easily in my top 3 all-time Mandalorian episodes.
Yes.
I might like it a lot more than maybe a lot of people in this audience. Maybe more than you, Jason. Maybe more than a lot of people. But this episode, for me personally, really just... It really works. It just really works. And that's the only thing I can say about it, is that it works as a technological piece, it works as a storytelling piece, and it works as a performance piece. Those 3 things get checked off. And then, of course, the great production, the great music from Ludwig Göransson, who, I can't overstate how important his work is to the atmosphere, the oxygen of Mandalorian. He has created it. He has claimed it as his own. And he's not doing a single damn thing to replicate John Williams. He is not taking anything from John Williams. He has made Star Wars composition his own, and he's made this series his own.
Yeah, going back to the theme, which has already become iconic in just a couple of years. The Mandalorian theme song, I think, certainly for Star Wars fans, you hear the first few notes of it, you know exactly what it is. I can't say that for some of the other themes that have been established in the since 2012 in Star Wars. Mandalorian is one of those. It fits. I couldn't hum Rey's theme right now if you paid me $50.
Oh, well, I could, and I'd do it for free. Yes, I would.
Would you care to?
It goes do 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 do. Yeah. So that's it. All right.
That's it. All right. Well,
the Mandalorian. You know, a theme is good when you start applying pretend lyrics to it.
You weren't doing that with Rey's theme.
No.
You weren't doing that with.
Here he comes with Baby Yoda, the Mandalorian. You know, I do it all the time. You don't do it with Rey's theme as much. Rey's theme is beautiful.
It is beautiful. And when I hear it, I go, oh, that's Rey's theme. But I can't just rip into it like I can Mandalorian. I just think that it's I think it's a cut above even some of the stuff we heard in the sequel trilogy. And I know it's the great John Williams, but some of it is somewhat forgettable for me.
Well, the stuff that Ludwig does is ridiculously original and fresh. And what I love about it is how he incorporates all sort of different instruments and technologies. And, from the oldest of old school to the newest tech. I mean, he has this incredible wall in his studio that just does anything and everything electronic that you could think of. And he just loves it. He's like, look, it's great. It does everything. But then he blends it with old school instruments and electric guitars, modern instruments and traditional instruments. He covers the gambit. He's like really a musician's musician. And I never really knew that about him until I really started to hear what he was doing with The Mandalorian. And then in that Disney Gallery series, they devote an episode to him. And I recommend everyone watch that because this guy's a genius. He's a musical genius. I don't think we talk enough about the music of The Mandalorian, but I just really think that I never imagined Star Wars without John Williams' music. And it was a real sticking point for us during the Clone Wars early years when Kevin Kiner was being very much encouraged to push the boundaries of what we know of Star Wars music. And he was hitting the ball out of the park, and he was also striking out along the way. It was very experimental until I'd say about the third season of the Clone Wars when they really settled in on a style that seemed to straddle the original trilogy and prequel trilogy sounds of John Williams really nicely. There's none of this dance going on with The Mandalorian. Also, there's something that Kiner did was he would bring in influences from other soundtracks. Like, you'd be watching an episode of the Clone Wars and the Separatists would be flying overhead and you'd hear a cue from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Be like, everyone would go, oh yeah, here it is. And he'd be sending us the sound clips of the exact same music and stuff.
Right.
You never have that sort of shadow boxing going on with the music of The Mandalorian. The music of The Mandalorian is totally Mandalorian. That's the thing that's so great. And The Mandalorian is totally Star Wars. So I don't know how you break down this mathematical equation, but we can have something that equals total Star Wars that isn't John Williams or a John Williams knockoff like some of Kevin Kiner's stuff can be. This is not a knock on Kevin Kiner either. I loved all the stuff he did for Clone Wars and for Rebels, and now he's doing the Bad Batch, and he's doing a great job with Bad Batch. And again, Bad Batch isn't so much leaning on the John Williams. Maybe it is a little bit, but maybe it is a lot now that I think of it. Well, but the Mandalorian never does that.
No, it doesn't. It's, as you say, it's entirely unique and yet entirely Star Wars, which is
right. Well,
very
it's because
special.
It defines the Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian is uniquely Star Wars.
Yeah.
So again, try to do that mathematical equation and come see me for finals, because that's a tall order. But I think everyone listening knows exactly what I'm saying, and I think you do too, Jason.
I know what you're saying.
These are the intangibles that are so difficult to nail. But I think it just comes down to the crew that is in charge of the Mandalorian. I definitely want to see more Bill Burr.
Well, yeah, we may have, if Rangers of the New Republic would have been, it would have continued. There's a lot of folks that say that he would have been one of the main characters. And, and Bill Burr, I don't know. I mean, he's no dummy, but at the same time, he also is outspoken and says what's on his mind. To my knowledge, he's never intimated publicly that he was part of a spinoff series. And you might think that a guy like Burr, who has his own podcast and guests on a lot of podcasts, that would have come out of him at some point. Because I know, he certainly commented on the Gina Carano situation, and but always stopped short of saying anything as to and this really screwed up my plans. I was supposed to be in this new Star Wars series, But
well, he has expressed a certain amount of concern about receiving the same treatment Gina has received, because everything, is being so heavily policed. So I just get the feeling that the way Bill manages his career is that he gets presented with something and he says, okay, that sounds good to me. And it doesn't matter whether he gets it or not. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have, he just lets his people handle everything. And he gets up on Monday morning and says, all right, what's my schedule for this week?
I'm doing a Star Wars? Okay. All right, let's do Star Wars.
Yeah, they need you back on The Mandalorian. Okay, you got the pages for that? All right, I'll look at this. Okay. Oh, I remember this guy. Yes. He's got the blaster on his shoulders, and oh yes, I remember. Okay, I know what this guy needs. And then I'll go talk to them. And so then he does, and then he gets up, he takes a shower, brushes his teeth, and he goes to work. Yeah. I think that's really as straightforward as that's how I would do it, actually, if I was a guy like him with all these different opportunities and things. Yeah. I'm sure he's much more hands-on than that, but maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know.
not.
As you say, simple man trying to make his way in the universe.
He would have been in the Rangers of the New Republic show. And I think that's going to be absorbed into season 3 of The Mandalorian. So I don't think his story's over yet.
Right. I agree. And there's such my gosh, they haven't even started filming season 3. There's so much time between when they wrapped up season 2. And
how do you know they haven't started shooting?
We'd have heard by now.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
We've heard about all the others. We've heard about Kenobi. We've heard about Andor. We knew the Book of Boba Fett was shooting. So it seems unlikely that we wouldn't have heard. And Lucasfilm likes to put those announcements out. They'll put those announcements out that production has begun. Favreau will be Instagramming something.
Yeah. Now I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
All right. Well, huge thanks to all of you for tuning in each and every week as you do. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed our look at chapters 14 and 15 of Mandalorian season 2. And we'll be back in a few weeks with our look at season 2 finale.
Yes,
the
it'll
rescue.
happen this summer. When the
We'll get
timing
to
is
it.
right, when it
Yeah.
feels right, when we get the tremors in the Force, then that's how we know when to do these commentaries. And it's gonna be a long year without Mandalorian. I can't wait for Book of Boba Fett. That's really gonna be very exciting. And then
And
Mandalorian
rewatching these
is
episodes really makes me excited for Book of Boba Fett. So, and I'm not the biggest Boba Fett fan. I'm not. I mean, I love. Boba Fett's fine, but I'm not one of those. Fett fanatics. I can take him or leave him, but I am really.
You don't
excited
have
about this.
You don't have a Boba fetish?
I do not.
Is that what you're
He's-
saying?
He's part of Star Wars, and he's definitely. I think that if I'm going to say it right now, he's of all the vintage Kenner Star Wars action figures, Boba Fett is the coolest vintage action figure. I don't know that one that even comes close. He's by far the coolest.
Well, there's been a couple thousand 3 3/4-inch Star Wars action figures released over the past 4.5 decades.
Yeah.
But I still put that Kenner Boba Fett that we mailed away for back in the late 70s and waited by our post office boxes for 14 to 20 weeks. That's all it was.
Right. That's like Amazon Prime,
It's not a very big window, 14 to 20 weeks.
Well, you know what, though, when you think about it, if you pre-order a lot of this stuff, it still takes 14 to 20 weeks as a collector today.
Sometimes.
The pre-orders.
We've been waiting for that Razor Crest for about a year now.
Yeah, right.
Haven't we?
Yeah.
So, well, at least 9 months.
Yeah.
At least 9 months. So,
Well, it's like
we'll be
having a
getting it
baby.
soon
Maybe
enough.
we'll be getting it's crowning. All right. If you want more Rebel Force Radio, you can find us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio or go to the rebelforceradio.com and find the Patreon banner and click on it. You get all kinds of great stuff. We release weekly full show videos. Also, exclusive podcasts like RFR Comlink, the Q&A, Babu Freaks, Clone Wars Declassified, Remastered, so much more. Just jump to the head of the queue when you're calling in on the Rebel Force Radio live shows like our Bad Batch after show. So if you identify yourself to our intrepid call screener as a Patreon member, we make sure that you get to the top of the queue. Again, all those details can be found at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. And another place you can get more RFR is on YouTube. We just hit the 10,000 mark. So 10,000 subscribers. Still not great for the biggest Star Wars podcast in all of podcasting. So it's just a fraction of our podcast listeners. So do us a favor, go over there and hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. Also, make sure that you like and comment on our videos. That helps the algorithms over there. So you watching a video, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed.
Algorithms.
Yeah. Our algorithms need help.
Our algorithms need help.
But YouTube, it really is. It's just a repository. It's a virtual archive of Rebel Force Radio content going back throughout the last 15 years of shows, from classic interviews and parodies and bits to the latest live stream after shows. Plus new full show audio. So in addition to all of the different bits and highlights, every week you get the full show audio if you want to listen to it via YouTube. And really appreciate the support there. Also, if you want to talk to us in between shows, you can do so. Show at rebelforceradio.com. That's the email address. The voicemail line, 708-320-1RFR. That's 708-320-1737. We're all over the social medias like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Just search for Rebel Force Radio. And on the Facebook, we've got a really good group of folks that get together and chat. The official Rebel Force Radio Facebook group. Check it out. Just answer a few questions. Prove to us that you're actually a listener, and we'll let you in the club. As I said, the official website for all things and everything Rebel Force Radio, rebelforceradio.com. And please keep listening to us. We're streaming on WGN Plus. We're on, you hear us on Jedi News, iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, radio.com. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you're going to find us here at Rebel Force Radio. And if your podcatcher of choice allows you to subscribe, we love to have those subscriptions. We especially love those reviews. Just one rule, please.
Make them good.
Please make them good. And we read the reviews. Saw a couple cross my desk this week. You know who I'm talking about. You know who you are. So make sure that you write those reviews.
Oh, intrigue.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. We'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
The Force will be with you, always.